invite here our next speaker. It's Frank Vinson, and he has been working for more than 20 years, handling position in strategy and management in major creative networks around the world. Frank worked for over 100 brands all around the world and was largely awarded Cannes Lions, D&AD, Claes, Epicus, EFIS, and more than 80 locals and regional accolades. Frank created his own brand consultancy, Neon42, a unique model that develops very specific valuable edge to any business. The methodologies the company develops are deeply inspired by the demanding entertainment and sports industry, which makes each collaboration a mix of motivation, team spirit, and breakthrough solutions. The main challenge is to bring back brands into people's conversations and to turn consumers into hardcore fans. Neon42 actively supports different profiles of companies, from big corporations to startups and NGOs all around the world. Frank is also a writer, a screenwriter, and a musician. And so the topic of the keynote of Frank mentioned today is storytelling as a marketing instrument. So Frank, hello. Can I hear you? Let's check. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much. Uh,
You hear
so
me well?
I hear you very nice. Are you going to speak with a presentation or without?
I do. So I need to go to documents, right?
Yeah, documents, and then in keynotes to find your presentation, click it twice.
So,
So
yeah, this one, I think. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it's me. Right.
So I'm turning off my video and I'll time 30 minutes, okay? And then I'll
Okay.
be back here.
All right. Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm talking to you from sunny Amsterdam today. As Vladimir said, I'm the founder of Neon42. Neon42 is an international consulting company. We work all over the world. We have clients in Mexico, in US, in Europe. We work a lot with Russia because I was living in Russia before. CIS. We had a project last year in Africa. So in Uganda to be precise. So yeah, we do a lot of things. So what we do is in fact is like we take care of brands and we transform the way they articulated, the way their platform is articulated, the way their ecosystem is crafted to make them bold and dynamic and with a challenger mindset. So yeah, we want to convert their consumer into loyalists, to people that are believing in this brand and in the products. But today we're going to talk about the bloody situation we are all in, which is the corona pandemic situation. And we have to understand that obviously this coronavirus has shaken pretty much the foundations of our social and economic coexistence. Yeah, we started to experience some elements that we never experienced before. So the thing is that we have to understand a little bit what is going to happen. I mean, I can see that everybody's from different countries and the situations are very different. In Europe, we are starting to be a little bit out of it, but okay, if there is no second wave, some countries are still at the middle of the fight. So obviously, this is quite difficult for the people to understand what to do with their brand. Well, the history of the brands in crisis times tell us that if you keep focusing on what you want to deliver with your brand, and you are going to get back to the game faster than the others. You will see a bit after in the presentation that it's not so clear and easy as it may seem. But if you have a look to the 2008 crisis that I think impacted all the countries around the world, um, the strong brands, the brands that really took the time to really understand how to evolve and how to communicate, and not only how to innovate as well, well, they pretty much recovered much faster, like 9 times faster, by the way. But what is the main element that we have to deal with? The main element is obviously about uncertainty. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Second wave, not second wave. Did we fix the problem? Until we have a vaccine, I think the problem is still out there. Uncertainty is absolutely complicated to manage because we don't know what to do and we don't know how to react. Um, what is important here is to change this uncertainty into risk, because uncertainty, you don't know anything about what's going to happen. Risk is like, you know, or at least you understand if what kind of decisions and what kind of risks you can make. All right, so this is really different, because from the total unknown element, like I don't know what's going to happen, to I understand what may happen and this is the decision I make. This is very different. So this is why what we've done in Neon42, we created a scheme for the brands to really understand how they were able to react and to understand stage by stage. So obviously, we're not going to spend a lot of time in the stage one, which is about learning. So that was mostly about what we've done and how we supported our clients at the beginning of the pandemic. It's like learning, getting back to your basics and understanding what can be done right now. Stage two, I still have a few examples that I will show you, is about supporting. Yeah, everybody was sometimes confined, sometimes in dangerous situations, uh, planes, etc. I mean, I'm not going to go through all the categories, but it's about what should I do with my brand and with who I am. All right. Stage number three, we called it celebrating. I'm a bit afraid that it might be a little bit too much like celebrating, because we don't know. We don't know when, what, and how to celebrate, because it's still intangible what's going on, right? So we'd have to understand at least when we can start to. I mean, for example, in many countries now, the restaurants started to open, the schools as well. Is it a sort of celebrating? This is the moment of celebration, maybe partly, but everybody knows that there is still a risk, and the health situation is still very fragile. And the stage four, which is where I'm going to focus today, is about scaling. It's like what elements did we learn in the process of this crazy situation? What did we learn to help our brand to become anti-fragile, to help our brand to tackle the challenges of the future, or to make better decisions, or to have a bigger purpose? Maybe there are lots of things to do. So we are almost in celebrating. Yeah, some brands, they started to say, yeah, that's great, we've done it. I think it's a little bit early. We are still in the moment of, yeah, let's try to understand what's going on, right? So this is where mostly where we are. So as I said, stage one, very quickly, very like bullet points, and it was really about understanding the real status of your company, therefore the real status of your brand. What happened? I mean, all the brands, they had to tackle different challenges, which is like put my employees in a safe place. I mean, home mostly. Empowering them in terms of they can work, they can connect, they can be supported, sometimes with psychological help. But then also, what was important at that time is to make sure that your brand had to be considered as a rock solid, as we say. Yeah, it's to get back to your fundamentals, to get back to who you are, what you do, what can be the essence of your presence during this pandemic. Yeah, and of course, what I was saying to my clients is that you have to go back to your brand articulation. You have to go back to what you build for yourself, and understand what can be done. Not to change immediately, because it's always complicated to change on a short notice, not understanding exactly what's gonna happen in the next few weeks, but to start understanding the perspective of what about, yeah. And I think it was an important moment to get back to your consumers as well. I mean, consumers were facing something really like amazingly stressful, and I think it was the brands had to get back to them and understand what kind of behaviors are changing, what kind of yeah, what are the needs, what do you need the most, etc., etc. So this is what's the best brands, I would say, the best brands that reacted during the pandemic did and understood from the early beginning. Supporting. I'm sure you've seen everywhere a lot of brands trying to react, support, doing something. Some of them, they decided not to do anything. It's a choice also. It can be a choice. But what is important is when you take action, it has to go really through all the what I call the brand spectrum, from the internal, which is about explaining to the employee how to react, what to do, etc. I've got a lot of I've got a client in banking. What do we have to say to the people, because they're still calling, they're still asking, what the hell, my business, my job, etc., etc. So you had different brands reaction. Like some of them, they were supporting the front line, so supporting the nurses and the hospitals, etc. Some of them repurposed their production. If you remember, some brands like LVMH, for example, they start to do some hand soaps and everything, aiding the vulnerable, yeah, the elder people. Amplifying the WHO advice. So the WHO is, the World Health Organization. So, washing your hands, taking the distance, 1 meter 50, etc., etc. Carrying on at home, because people, they were staying at home in many, many countries. Billions of people stayed many weeks at home. So how can I support them and bring them something valuable at home? Yeah. Maximizing the moments of happiness. I mean, I think all of us, we had some drinks on Zoom and some other things like that. How we can give a little bit of hope and a little bit of entertainment. And yeah, the new channel entertainment. It's about how we can create some interesting in the situation that we are living. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk more specifically about what is happening right now. Okay. So the celebrating part is happening somehow. Uh, we get back to some sense of normal, some sense, because it's not really normal. I mean, we are not living the same way, right? Uh, but we have a let's say a sense of relief. Yeah, it's like, okay, we can go out again. If you want, you can go to the restaurants. Of course, there are some rules, etc., but you can go to have a drink. The kids are back at schools, in schools, etc., and the brands, they have to use all the empathy and the understanding of the consumers and the respect for them, to just to start to reconnect with them uh, in a positive, I mean, not only positive, but in a valuable way. How to make it. So I'm not saying back to normal, because we know that nothing will be normal again. I mean, partly normal, but it's just like how you reconnect with them and to guide them into the next steps, knowing that we still live some uncertain times. Yeah. So now we're going to spend a bit of time on scaling. So yeah, uh, different scenarios. See different scenarios about the economy. Um, I'm gonna give you a sort of spoiler. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Here, as you can see on the screen, these are the many scenarios that McKinsey started to craft to understand if we're gonna have sort of a U recovery, a V recovery, a shaky recovery. It might differ from the countries to countries, so that's also an important fact for the international brands because they might not have the same agenda, the same timeline, depending on the countries where they're operating. And obviously, we still don't know. I mean, you can see like there are at least 9 scenarios that are possible, but still we don't know much about them, right? But something is for sure is that it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt badly. I mean, as you can see in red, all the scenarios are starting exactly the same way. Everything, the GDP, the business indexes, and so on, is going to drop dramatically. And I'm not even talking about unemployment, mental distress, etc., etc. So it's a lot of factors that you have to take into account. And if you ask me, because I know you don't ask me anything right now, but if you ask me, a brand should really understand the full ecosystem. This is why we talk about ecosystem all the time. It's like it's not only about okay how much money. It's about the full understanding of what's going on. Depending on your category and depending on what you do, you have to understand what are the criteria and the elements that you have to work on, right? But one thing is for sure, it doesn't look good, and the people will have to change because at some point, if the economy is collapsing, well, the people will buy less. The people um, will cut into their expenses. People will understand that maybe this kind of entertainment you used to have before, it was maybe not really important for you, and you came back to a sort of understanding of what is really important, and you will not do that anymore. Yeah. So we have to build the future. So it's the most challenging phase that we have to do. What will be the role of the brand? What would be the role of your brand? What would be the added value of your proposition to the consumers? Um, how your brand is going to fit to this kind of new world, new situation. And this is the hard job is starting for the brands because they will have to reconsider what they have to do in terms of brand articulation and how they're gonna treat it. The first thing is you have to pick your battles. You can't solve all the things about your brand immediately. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. You can't really say, hey, I'm gonna maintain all my investment and I'm gonna do business as usual. Everything is gonna be fine. So when we say pick your battles is also about let's be pragmatic. You remember at the beginning I was telling you, yeah, you know what, the brands, they should keep going, they should keep communication and so on. Let's be transparent. You cannot do exactly the same things as you used to do because of you have less income, you have less clients, and you might have some challenges internally as well. So it's very nuanced, and there is if you can find this study from the Harvard Business Review, they advise pretty much to have a mixed strategy. So to cut a bit the cost, yeah, it happens. We have to be careful as well, but also to invest in an opportunistic way. Yeah, in innovation, in development, in brand building, you have to make sure that you are not completely cast away from what's going on. Yeah, so you have to still defend a little bit of the budget you were allowing to 2020 and still applying that to communication strategies or innovation strategies, and actually monitor and track everything to see the effectiveness. And you have to be agile, that's for sure. um, Priorities are everything, because you have to make choices, you have to pick your battles. So the first pillar is about forecasting the real needs. Yeah. Uh, we've been hearing a lot from the brands, some brands, in the last few weeks. Oh yeah, we will be there for you. My brand is here since 50 years, and you know what? We're not going to let you go. Blah blah blah. But now it's completely different. It has to refocus on the real needs of the people, and not only showcasing how great you are and how great you want to be for the people. So, to which real need should I continue to support the consumers? Is it my great service, maybe in banking? Is it financial service? Is it about product simplicity, to make it simpler, maybe to access to health support? Um, by the way, the health category is changing so much right now, and it's pretty positive for the future, but right now it's really challenging. You have to manage what I call two gear perspective. It's like a bit like the also like we call that sometimes the three horizons strategy. So it's like the here and now, or at least the next few months, and longer perspectives. So you have to understand what you can do right now, but also starting to prepare the next thing. Um, so again, it's all about the consumers. It's all about understanding them in a short-term and long-term way, because you don't want to create a brand just for now. You want to create a brand for the next few years, right? So you have to understand that. So what kind of need you can understand are important today, and that on which you can provide a solution, and but also in few months or in few years, right? And the brand should be still a compass. I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, but brands right now, it's not the most important. We have to sell, to sell, to sell. The role of the brand, but mostly the purpose of the brand, are extremely important to recraft, or to make sure that they are fine. Because you have to keep going. You have to keep going and understand what your brand is gonna what is the role of the brand in the next period. So what to improve, what to change in your brand strategy. You have to keep the relevance of it, and you have to make sure that your purpose is really sticking to not only to what's going on now, but what is going to happen. And investments obviously are kind of different all the time. What I'm saying about internal pipelines is really about how important your employees are in the big companies. So you have to make sure that you are also structuring the way your employees are talking about your brand. Sorry. To understand also the HR, the talent management, the staff support, etc. So this is very important, because they are part of the brand you are developing. Brand strategy, we just talked about it. I think it's the right moment to. I mean, I'm not saying that for me, but it's just that the right moment to invest in the strategic thinking, and to understand the consumers better, to have a better role, etc. And to have the brand image going on. Yeah, so you have to continue to create value, to create value for the people and to the consumption. Then I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, but uh, we have to sell more, we have to be more opportunistic, etc. So this is a bit my point of view on what about, I mean, what about your investment on the brand, and what about the investment on activation itself? We can say that maybe, as you can see, the first one is about 60-40, is that yeah, the split between the long-term investments, especially in the brand building, versus the strategic, the tactical strategy that you can implement now are 60-40. So you see, it's still that the brand building is still very important, right? So this is very important for you to really understand where you have to invest, and obviously your investments are going to be less important. So you have to really talk to, I mean, I don't know if you have media agencies or etc., but we can help you actually to understand what is the split. And we're doing that, for example, for a client right now in Geneva. Yeah, and we're trying to be as lean and agile as possible in terms of provoking sales, but also we have to build the brand, because the brand is a great factor. So brand versus activation, yeah. In fact, I mean, you talk about the brand, but you have to invest in activations, in promotions, yes, but be careful with that. Be careful with that, because people are not maybe ready all the time to really go for discount or whatsoever right now. Reach is the key. The impact of your investment, it must be really focused on reaching a maximum of people. Reaching a maximum of people, because uh, yeah, you still want to be visible. And now with the consumers patterns being so cluttered and everything, I mean, you want to still keep your reach. It's very important. Okay. Something that I'm very, very keen about, because I'm coming from creative agencies, and I love great ideas and big ideas, is support your creativity pattern. Whatever it is, if you create your stuff by yourself, or if you have an agency, support the creativity. Enough of the. I'm not going to run the video, because I'm sure you know that. I mean, maybe you do a screenshot and you will find it on YouTube easily. It was a film that was showing that all the brands were saying the same, like, oh, in the world, jobs, etc., blah blah blah, etc. No, you can't do that. I mean, it's over, and it was not very helpful for anybody. So you have to make your brand unique again, and I hope you didn't stop to do it unique, but a lot of brands started to say a bit the same. So stop doing exactly the same. Stop being just oh my god, we are in it together, blah blah blah. It's not working. It's not working anymore. The people are expecting something else from you, something more specific. And don't waste your money and communication effort into that, and even more to benefit maybe even some competitors. If you put a lot of money in the TV ad, saying, oh my god, in we are an airline company, and everything is going to be all right. Well, if you are Aeroflot or whatsoever, it can benefit KLM, Air France, Qatar Airways, whatever. So because it's exactly the same message. Okay. So your brand is unique. So think about the consumer's reality. This is what will make you unique as well. Is like, try to understand them thoroughly, to really understand what you can do for them. As we said, revise your brand articulation and have a very unique purpose. Work out carefully your tone of voice. So stop being sort of in a mold where everybody's kind of talking the same way, right? You have a brand, you have a tone of voice, you have chosen this tone of voice. Understand the world with this tone of voice. Give some information to the people with this tone of voice. Allow to go beyond communication. Don't just do communication, but just do also some other stuff. Help people, supports things. Try to create new products. That can be extremely important right now. Evaluate your production value with fresh eyes. if you are used to produce some advertising, for example, of course everybody changed. So make it wise, make it interesting. It's pretty important, and keep the process agile. Keep the process agile, because tomorrow the brief from Monday is not going to be the brief from tomorrow, for example. So be ready to really, as a client or as an agency, be ready to really reconsider the most important things for yourself. Okay. So I think this 5 minutes left. Imagine the future. This is one of the methodologies, because in Neon42 we create a lot of methodologies. They mostly very, crafted for the clients, but also we have some methodologies that can be used for a wider spectrum of clients. And here it's about scenario planning. So you have 3 steps. Maybe I'm not going to go into details, but it's really about step one is really about understanding and researching the foundation about the consumers, the trends, the weak signals, the articles. I mean, you can have a lot of things in the articles that you read on social media and so on, and then you start to create some schemes, yeah, to create some schemes, some framework, that like the pestle framework. You can Google that. It's very important. And then after that, in a workshop or in a collaborative session, we can develop some scenarios. So here we just helping the brands to understand what to do next and what to focus on, depending on the situations, and to navigate into this complicated context. So as you can see, the scheme can be completed one after the other, with different elements. Obviously, we are still wondering what may happen, but we start to understand a little bit better what may happen, at least in your category, or at least in your brand, the brands you're working on, etc. So you can really follow the scheme and understand, which quite important as well. Never forget about what you learned and what you've done during the pandemic, because it's going to help you to trigger what is really important. So yeah, I think it's pretty much it. So we can stay in touch if you have some questions. I don't know if Vladimir will revert to me with some questions, but you can write to me directly. I'm answering everybody as much as I can, and yeah, we can help you, of course. Or if you just need advice, we're happy to help. We know the situation is pretty complicated right now. So we do a lot of things for the brands that are contacting us.
Yeah, Frank, thank you very much. That was very interesting. Oh, so you see the feedback in the chat
Oh,
is
okay.
from me.
Yelena. Oh, thank you, Yelena. Much.
So, uh, guys who were listening to this lecture, you are to make feedback here or in WhatsApp chat or in the email or in the Instagram. So it's tapped below. Thank you very much, Frank. I think that's not last time we can see together.
No
Yeah.
problem. Stay in
Uh,
touch.
uh,
And take
and
care, everybody, okay? Because it's not finished. We have to be careful.
yeah, that's true. Take care.
Okay. Have a nice continuation and a nice evening after that. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye. Bye bye.
Have a nice evening.